Hello UA, it's Mr. Pickerin here. Hopefully everyone's keeping safe and well. It's my first video in my new YouTube career, so as you know, please like, subscribe and comment, but only on Teams with the comments please. But yeah, please like and subscribe. I want to be the most popular teacher YouTuber. I can't let Mr. Sari win again. Anyway, back to geography. Today we're starting a new topic on world tourism. Specifically today we're going to look at a brief history of world tourism, how it's changed over the last 50 years. First up, we're going to define some key terminology, so tourism, day tripper and honeypot. We're going to then look at how the trend of growth within the world has changed over those 50 years, and finally we're going to see if we can come up with some reasons why that's happened. First activity today. Well, on the bottom I've got 4 key pieces of terminology and phrases that we're going to be using throughout this unit, and it's really important that we get to know those. Up the top I've got the definitions. However, obviously I've muddled them up. What I'd like you to do first up please is try and write out the correct definition with the correct phrase for me please. So I'll give you a few minutes here. You can pause the video at this point, come back, and then I'll carry on with the correct answers. So pause the video here. Okay, up on the screen now we've got the correct answers, so hopefully I know you'll have got them all right, as we see that a honeypot site is a particular area or an attraction which gets a large amount of visitors. Secondly, day tripper is a person who visits a tourist destination but just goes there and back on the same day. Number 3 was tourism, so that's the reason or any type of people travelling for up to a year consecutively. Could be leisure, business or something else. And finally, package holidays, so that's where you might buy a holiday and transport and accommodation all as part of one purpose-built item. Moving along, so make sure you've got those in the correct order please. Moving on, stage 2. Quick video for you, it's very short. It's a brief advertisement for domestic tourism within the UK. If you don't know what domestic means, we're going to look at that shortly. So please just have a quick watch here and then we're going to move on. You don't need to write anything down for this stage. Number 3. So this next activity can be done in 2 sections. Firstly, you have an optional part in that on the next slide I've got a series of pieces of data to allow you to create your own line graph based upon the history of world tourism and the numbers of people visiting all over the world per year. So if you want to, it's optional. You can draw that yourself just using the data. There's attached, however, both on the upload to Go for School and on Teams, you'll find a partially made one ready for you that you can use. I also have examples coming up on the slides ahead. So as we can see on this slide here at the top, you can see at the top here, so from 1950 all the way up to 2010 we have the number of tourists per year sharply increasing. So stage 1, if you want to right now, you can pause the video at this point and you can have a go at drawing that line graph by yourself. If not, we're going to carry on, and stage 2 of this bit, I have 9 labels down the bottom here. Now what I'd like you to do once you have a line graph, either by drawing it yourself or by using the one that we've provided, and again they'll be on the next slide, you'll see them as an example. I'd like you to place these 9 labels in the correct place around your graph according to the dates within each label. So for example, if it says 1950s, arrow it towards the 1950s. If it says the 1990s, try and get as close to that section as you physically can. While you're having another go, perfect opportunity for you to like and subscribe to this video once again. And then moving on to the next slide. Here's a good example of a completed one. You can now see, so we've got title at the top, drawn in pencil with a ruler, labelled axes, always good, increments along the sides accurately, not floating in midair, not different sizes between them, they're all accurately measured, drawn on the lines. This is a really good example of a drawn one. Alternatively, you could also have done it on the computer itself. You could have done a digital version, you might have used Excel or Word, and you might have ended up something like this. Just as good, just a simple alternative. Okay, and once you've drawn them then, so you need to add those 9 labels that you saw on the previous graph. If you haven't done that, have a go at that now, and then before I move on. So here we go. All I've done is I've placed them literally on the graph to try and fit it on the screen for you. However, you could have dotted them around the outside and drawn labels to them. Both are absolutely fine. As you can see, these are a large number of reasons why tourism has changed over the last 50, 60 years in particular. So everything from the 1950s, the starts of package holidays, as we move up to the more recent times, the invention of things like the internet, low-cost airlines, all bringing down the prices. Moving on, final section. What I'd like you to do finally for me, please, is to have a go at answering these two questions. Very different, but are in terms of what they're asking you to answer, but the same sort of content. So part 1, describe how tourism has increased globally over the past 50 years, and that's 4 marks. So if you've been taught by me before, you should know hopefully that if you're doing a describe question, you're going to say what you can see. So that's 4 marks. Describe how tourism has increased over the past 50 years. Make sure you flick back and looking at your graph as you answer this. Part 2, once you've done that, now I'd like you to give reasons for why it has increased in that way. Again, 4 marks. So part 1, describe it, 4 marks. Part 2, explain the reasons why, 4 marks. That's the final main activity today. If you want a little bit of help and you're struggling with how to get started, well, I'd like you to have a go first of all, but if you're really struggling, on the next slide we've got a couple of sentence starters or a very simplistic structure that you might use just to get you going. And that looks a little bit like this. So over time, world tourism has increased exponentially. That's where that graph really accelerates in an ever-increasing angle upwards. And then there are many reasons for this growth. First of all, could be this, could be this. Again, use those labels and your graph to help you provide the answers to this. Finally, new task. Each week I'm going to try and set a very simple weekly challenge, sort of encourage a little bit of competition. Could be at home, could be you do it as a family, could be competing against other members of your family. So first week, there are 54 countries in Africa, plus or minus 1 or 2, depending on which websites you might look at. I want to see how many you can name without Googling, without looking in your books, without asking other people. You've got a week. Can you come up with all 54 names, or can you get more than the person sat next to you or in your house right now? So that's your challenge for this week. Good luck. And just as a final recap this week, once you've done those answers to those 2 questions, if you're in my group, and I think Miss Bramwell's group is going to do the same, we'd like you to use Microsoft Teams and go to the assignments section within our class, and there you'll find a new assignment for you to upload your answers to. If you're not sure, just post a message on Teams and your teacher will be able to explain to you exactly what they want. If not, it'll be posted on Go for Schools, but I will certainly be around for my group. You can ask me any questions you have as to what you need to do or how you need to do it. And then this will lead into next week, when next week's task is going to be evaluating. I'm going to go through some of the best answers. I'm going to go through some of the most common mistakes with these answers. I'm going to see if we can improve them going forwards. So hopefully have a good week. Obviously, if I hadn't said it already, like and subscribe, and I will see you next week.